Hey guys, so this week we are going to be talking all about Jackson Pollock. Okay, so listen closely to the story and pay close attention to some of the materials he uses and the methods that he paints. Action Jackson by Jan Greenberg and Sandra Jordan. In the afternoon, Jackson Pollock puts on his paint-spattered boots and walks across the yard. The wind blows in from Gardiner's Bay, bringing the scent of salt marshes and sea lavender. His eyes miss nothing. Sunlight on the tree branches, tangled stalks of blackberry bushes, beetles crawling in the grass underfoot. Caw-Caw, the crow he tamed, flies down and lands on his shoulder. His border collie Jip runs in circles, demanding a walk across the fields and down a country road to the wide sandy beach. But Jackson turns and keeps going. The gray, weathered barn used to be filled with rusted machinery, old fishing gear, and broken tools. Now is his art studio, a place for painting. Some artists put canvas on an easel or hang it on a wall. Not Jackson. He spreads it out like a sheet, smoothing it flat with his large hands. He wants his painting to be big, big as the sky out west where he grew up, flat as the marshland behind his house. Sunlight pokes through the cracks in the boards, and flies buzz in the dusty studio air. Sliding doors rattle on their frames. He sits silent on the floor, staring at the blank canvas. Some artists cover the canvas with a base coat of white paint. Not Jackson. He wants the paint to soak into the surface, leaving bare patches peeking through the stains of color. Some painters use oil paint or watercolor. Not Jackson. He'll use ordinary house paint from the hardware store to make his painting. Some artists paint pictures of flowers or people or landscapes. Not Jackson. He expresses his thoughts and feelings directly on the canvas, calling it energy and motion made visible. And still he sits, surrounded by cans of enamel, brushes stiff with dried paint, knives, sticks, a spatula, and canvases, waiting. At last he stands. He chooses a stick and dips it into a can of syrupy paint. Slowly he paints circles on the canvas, stepping around the edges, straddling the corners, black lines from a tangled web. Now he chooses a brush, working toward the middle, sprays of color, tan, teal, yellow, and white. An athlete with the paintbrush. He uses his whole body to make the painting. Layers build with each gesture. New colors emerging, blending and disappearing into the wet surface. He swoops and leaps like a dancer, paint trailing from a paintbrush that doesn't touch the canvas. I want to make it longer and longer line. I want to keep it going. Hours go by like minutes. Suddenly he feels exhausted, used up, his imagination gone. Things get in the way of the flow, like roots blocking a soil line. He puts down the brush and goes into the house to help make supper, his mind filled with thoughts about the wet painting back on the studio floor. The next afternoon, Jackson prowls across the canvas, studying his work, but he doesn't pick up a brush. Instead, he walks down to the beach, past the sandy marshes and the tall spartina grass that waves in the breeze. He spent hours sitting on the grassy dune, watching the seagulls. In the barn, the layers of paint dry. Almost a week passes before he dips a brush and begins his dance. What is he thinking? Does he see the sunlit beach, the pattern of waves, the interlacing branches of the tree, the lush summer grass outside his studio? I don't know where my pictures come from. They just come, and the paint flows. Like the Native American sand painters he saw as a boy out west, he moves around the canvas, coaxing the paint into loops and curves. On the floor, I am much more at ease. I can walk round it, work from four sides, be in the painting. Fireworks splatter of rosy pink, twisting ropes of white, spangles of silver, a lavender glow where pink and bluish black meet. Jackson listens to jazz recordings in the evening. He likes musicians who improvise, inventing their own melodies as they play. While he paints, the notes spin over and over in his memory, swish and swish again. The rhythm of the brush matches the rhythm of the music. If a penny fell out of his pocket, he would leave it. An insect lands in the wet paint, and there it stays. Nails and tacks become part of the texture. He caresses the surface with the sticky paint-stained hands, one, then two handprints across the canvas. His eyes move up and down, back and forth. With light steps, he follows the sweep of his brush. He stops in a pool of paint, pauses. Paint, paint, and more paint. Dripping, pouring, flinging. The paint has a life of its own. I try to let it come through. Again, he stops. He climbs a ladder to look down at the whole canvas. Every muscle aches, but his eyes, his mind, and his heart know the painting is finished. Some people will be shocked when they see what he has created. Some angry, some confused, some excited, some filled with a happiness they can hardly explain. But everyone will agree Jackson Pollock is doing something original, painting in a way that no one else has ever done before. For the next few days, he and his wife, Lee, plant the vegetable garden. They drive into town in their Model A Ford. He digs for clams on the beach. On the weekend, friends drop by for a quick party. It will take another week for the thick paint to dry. Then Jackson and Lee will tack the canvas to the studio wall. Now Jackson sits silent, staring at the blank canvas spread on the floor of the barn, waiting. Soon he will drip his brush in a can of paint, lifting it high in the air to begin all again.
So, as we were reading through and you were listening to Action Jackson, did you notice the way that he painted? There's a reason it's called Action Jackson. Jackson Pollock was known for what we call action painting. You notice how he really stepped in to his artwork. If you look at this picture here, you'll see his foot is actually on the canvas, and he's moving so quickly that the picture is even blurry. And you'll see bolded, he painted what we call non-representational things. So it necessarily wasn't a face or an animal or a place. It was how he was feeling. That was his goal, was to show his emotions. Here's another couple pictures of him painting. Again, he's got his knee in the painting here. He really took part in it. Now, also, did you notice what type of paint he used? You may have noticed it mentions that he had to go to the hardware store. He would buy it by the gallon, and he would use the house paintbrush. Sometimes he would use a kitchen spatula, maybe even a stick, whatever would give him the right kind of line or right splatter. Again, he was not focused on the object, the specific subject that he was painting. He was focused on expressing those emotions, how he was feeling. He wanted people to either feel excited or to make people think. He, again, was about those emotions. So today what we're going to be doing is we are going to be doing an action painting. Your bonus activity is going to be another kind of action painting, but we are going to be taking part in our painting today, okay? No paintbrushes included. Okay, guys, so we are going to get ready to do our own spin on an action painting. Remember, action paintings are not when you are sitting still and painting on the paper with your paintbrush. Paintings are when you get into the painting, you are taking part, you are being active. So today we are going to be using a couple things from around your kitchen as our paint. Now, first thing you'll need are some cups. We're going to be getting out that food coloring again today. Notice I have a straw, I have some water, I even have a spoon, but do you see any paintbrushes? No. Okay, so what you're going to do is take your water, and right now this is empty. I'm just going to put a little bit in there. Again, it's not a lot. And this is what I'm going to be using as my paint today. So even if you don't actually have paint at your house, you can do this with us. There we go. Okay, again, I didn't fill it all the way up to the top. It's about that much. Okay, now I'm gonna take my food coloring. Now the reason I have 4 cups is because I have 4 different color food colorings, okay? But you could do more or less, keeping in mind what we learned last week, right? Let's see. So I'm gonna put my red in there. I'm gonna do 5 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put the lid on there. Take my spoon, just kind of mix it a little bit. I want it to be a little bit darker, so I'm gonna add a little bit more. We'll add 1, 2, 3. There we go. Perfect. Okay, let's do our yellow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll do 6 that time. I'll use my straw. Just kind of mix it up a little bit. There we go. Let's see. Let's make our green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or you could just use the green that you have, but if you don't, remember, you could do it this way. See how it mixed instantly with those primary colors? Okay, got my green. And then let's do blue for the last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, I did a little bit more. I like to do 5 normally, but I did a little bit more because I want it to be a bit darker. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, again, I don't have any paintbrushes and I just have the spoon so I can stir. Okay, so I'm done with that guy. I'm gonna sit him over to the side. You're gonna take it. Now, I know you don't do this because it is not polite to play with your drink when you're at a restaurant. But if you have done it, you ever stuck it in there and then put your finger on the top and it holds the drink? That's what we're gonna do. Okay, so you're gonna stick it in and put your finger on the top and hold it tight. Notice it's still holding, still holding. Drop it right on your paper. Okay, then you're going to put the straw in your mouth and we are going to blow it across the paper. You ready? There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna do it again. Let's grab another one. Let's do some green this time. And then I'll come over. There we go. Let's do another one. We'll keep going. Let's drop a red one. Now you'll notice if I get on top of it, then I can make it spread out more. Like that. Let's see, let's do some yellow. Drop it. If I get behind it and blow, you'll notice it's gonna make it go far and get long. So it kind of depends on how you want to do it. You could have some that are large, some that are long and skinny. That's up to you. You could even start to overlap them a little bit. I'm gonna put a little bit of blue right there. See how it's starting to mix? Now I don't want to cover the entire paper with these. Let's see, because what we're gonna do in a little while is we are going to be turning these into something. We know typically he does non-representational artwork, meaning it's not anything in specific, so it's not necessarily a person or a place, but we're going to turn these into little germs. Because that's why we're not here right now, right? Germs. And then we talk about how they spread and everything, so we're going to be spreading these across the paper and we're going to get ready to turn these into germs. So I'm going to finish adding a couple more germs on here, and then I'll show you how we can turn these blobs into those little germies. So I don't have to wait a super long time. I am going to take a paper towel and just start dabbing in a little bit to kind of soak up some of those big pools. Okay, this is gonna help it dry a little bit quicker. And it's gonna make little splats on your paper. That is okay. Okay, so you see how now I don't have any of those huge pools of paint. Again, it's okay if it splatters a little bit. Okay, so now action painting. It's all dry and ready to go. Notice there's no puddles of paint anywhere. I'm gonna be grabbing my black marker and my other piece of white paper, and we're gonna get ready to make some eyes so we can turn these into germs. Okay, so I'm gonna come over, I'm gonna draw a circle. You'll notice I added that picture we used the other day with James Rizzi. So you can have lots of different kinds of eyes. You're welcome to use those again, but you do not have to. I love seeing some of the ways y'all draw eyes. I can do that. Now I could even do one that has 3 eyes. Looking all around. And I'm gonna add some more, but I wanna go ahead and start adding some so that way I get some good variety. So I'm gonna come over and I'm gonna cut them. Let's cut this off first. Paper's so big. And I'm just gonna kind of bubble cut them. I can take that little guy and I can get ready to glue him down. So I've got my glue stick. See how it's starting to look like a germ now? Instead of just a blob? Let's keep going. So I want to give all these little personality, a little character. And again, you can choose to bubble cut it or to cut on the line. I like to bubble cut, but that's just my preference. If you do not have a black marker, you could use whatever you have. And let's get ready to do this one. Let's do this big one right here. Now I could even use my black marker if I wanted to go in and add a mouth, but that's up to you. I kind of like the little eyes. So let's keep going. Let's add some more and some more.